Breaking news: Justin Baldoni has seemingly lost his legal war with Blake Lively. What's this mean? We have Christopher Melcher here to break it down.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm It's Kim, and I am joined by Christopher Melcher, attorney at law, and Andy, who is currently on the road, getting ready to go to the airport.
I literally took 2 weeks off to go with my family and pre-banked a bunch of content that now might all be irrelevant because, yes, guys, the news just dropped that all his charges have been dismissed. Look, I'm shocked, guys. We're all shocked. I'm still processing, but I'm so glad because we have Christopher who was able to use his amazing legal brain to try to scan the best of what he can, sort of give us an insight. Overall, let's rip the Band-Aid off, Chris. This is bad news, ultimately, right? It's not over. It's not. There's still potential, but this is bad news for Team Justin. No.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not unexpected. Okay. So we'll kind of work through why I say that. But yeah, very bad outcome for him. He's not completely done at the trial court level, so we'll have another chance to kind of help on a couple of the claims that he's making, but a lot of those have been gutted and are done and buried, except he could try to appeal. So we'll work through each one here, but this is devastating, I would say, for him.
Breaking news. Justin Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit against Blake Lively has been dismissed by the judge. What does this ruling mean for Blake, Justin, and their careers? Stay tuned as we break down this shocking decision with insights from a legal expert. In a case that grabbed Hollywood's attention, Justin Baldoni accused Blake Lively of defamation, claiming that her team ruined his career and tarnished his reputation during the making of It Ends With Us. The battle started with a bang, but now it's coming to an unexpected end. The lawsuit had many twists, but today's ruling has made it clear. Blake Lively comes out on top. How did we get here, and what happens next? The court's ruling was clear. Baldoni's defamation claims didn't meet the high legal standards required for a public figure lawsuit. The judge cited strong First Amendment protections. This means that even if the allegations were true, they couldn't be proven maliciously false.
Strong First Amendment protections for speech. And so we can go and complain and saying, hey, our employer or coworker or whatever did these horrible things to us. And if we're bringing it to light, particularly if the person's a public figure, there are strong protections against that, against being sued for it. Okay. And so normally any kind of claim that you see in court where it says this person said something bad about me is going to be subject to being stricken and dismissed because of this First Amendment protections. And when we look back at the reasons, if let's say you were protesting against some huge corporation or some very powerful person, and you've done your investigation and you want to publish it on social media or your blog or whatever, if you could get sued successfully, that person, you would be wiped out. No small journalist or independent journalist or even small newspaper would ever take on a big corporation or a powerful individual because they would literally get wiped out in court.
As Melcher puts it, public figures have strong protections under the First Amendment. It's not enough to simply claim defamation. They have to prove malicious intent or reckless disregard for the truth. And that's where Baldoni's case faltered. Now let's dive into the heart of the matter. Baldoni's lawsuit included allegations that Blake's team orchestrated a smear campaign against him, making him appear difficult to work with and unprofessional. But were these accusations part of a larger strategy to push him out of the project?
Every time they said something, even if it was true. So there are strong protections in the law to saying if we're saying something in a public forum or about a public figure or about something really important like these issues of SA and stuff like that, and then there are protections about that, and that these cases can be dismissed quickly, and the person who brought the suit can be subject to paying all the attorney's fees for the person that they sued. Okay, so these are these anti-SLAPP things or litigation privilege you can look up. If you remember in Depp Heard, the reason why he sued in Virginia is he would have absolutely lost in California or New York. If he would have sued Amber Heard for the op-ed in California, he would have absolutely got thrown out of court and had to pay Amber's attorney's fees. He sued in Virginia because at that time they didn't have the anti-SLAPP law in the fact that they, I think, changed later. So there's like one place he could actually be heard.
According to media commentator Katie Joy, Blake's team may have pushed an image of Justin being chauvinistic and difficult on set. Was it all just a creative clash, or was there something more behind the scenes? As the movie's production continued, Blake's team allegedly deflected blame onto Justin for things like wardrobe choices and creative decisions. But when we take a closer look, it's clear that the real problem might have been something more. Was it just a clash of egos? Or was something else at play?
So that's the kind of laws that Blake Lively and the others, Reynolds and Sloan, have invoked successfully in getting this judge to saying, look, I mean, even if everything you're saying is true, okay, and that's the standard, even if everything that the Wayfarer parties said is true in their complaint, they can't sue Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Sloan for these out-of-court, allegedly defamatory statements because of these strong First Amendment protections. So that's gutting that whole case and potentially subjecting Justin and the Wayfarer parties to paying all the attorney's fees for so far, which is going to be an enormous amount of fees. What's left open is really two claims. One is saying against the New York Times, they promised him, or he's saying he was promised that he would have until like noon to provide his input to the story that they were going to run about him, and they went early with the story. So he's saying, hey, that kind of breached and implied a contract that we had. The judge is saying, you can try again, Justin, allege that better. The second thing the judge is saying is that this thing about stealing the movie and interfering with his contractual relationships in economic advantage, the judge said you can try and tune that up and come back to court. Otherwise, the case appears to be gutted and his only remedies to be going on appeal, which is going to be a very long and uncertain process.
Was it truly all about creative differences, or was there a deliberate attempt to make Justin look bad? It's clear that this case went far beyond just costume choices or direction. It was about who controlled the narrative. Some believe that Blake's team was pushing a narrative that painted Justin as a chauvinistic, controlling director. Was this a calculated move to damage his reputation and force him to step down from the project? The evidence, or lack thereof, speaks volumes.
So I have a couple questions, and thank you for the honest breakdown. And people are obviously going to take it as they other ways potentially, or hopeful, or more aggressively against Justin. But reiterating, this doesn't mean he did the things Blake said, right? So that comes to my next question of, does Blake just dismiss this? Knowing her and how their tactics are, I mean, maybe we all missed this obvious thing coming, and that's really what they always knew. Like, let's just wait because there really is no case. There is no case, even though you may be a bitch and all these things. It doesn't matter. That's not what this case is about. And they were just waiting for someone to sort of do it. Do you think now legally, is there a version of this where she now just says, you know what, for the betterment of my family, I'm dropping the suit. The judge has proven his point, and then there's not even a way for us to prove in court whether he did those things? What do you think Blake's going to do next? Or do you think she's obligated to see this through?
Blake's PR team allegedly painted him as a misogynist, but was that just a tactic to discredit him? Could the truth behind the accusations be far more complex than the media portrayed? Despite the ruling, Baldoni's legal team still has a small chance to revive parts of the case. Two claims remain, one about an alleged breach of contract by the New York Times, and another about his economic rights to the film. But with the case gutted, can he really recover from this setback?
Well, I kind of figured they would let things die down and then walk away with some kind of release and each of them claiming victory, because this is a bloodbath. I mean, the attorney's fees got to be horrendous. The damage to their reputations is horrendous. And, we saw prior to this, Blake suffering a defeat where she did not want to release her mental health records, and while still trying to make a claim for severe emotional distress, and the judge said, no, you can't have it both ways. You're not going to release the records. And she dismissed her claim for severe intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress. And the judge said, well, I'm going to exclude the evidence of emotional distress, which is a huge component of her claim. So she also got gutted. Both sides have been gutted. And at this point then is, do they then walk away mortally wounded, or do they keep screwing with this thing?